for a shape that, so even if you were colorblind, that, only that the majority of the receptors work, but not the color aspects, you would still be able to define um, distinct shapes based on contrast of the light that defined a shape. And if there's 100 million of them, exactly how those go into a processing and make an image in your head that, what are you seeing? Like, okay, that um, I mean, my background is more complicated than yours, maybe because I have a whole bunch of books that could be uniquely defined. But I mean, even if you were in a stadium, even if you were a gathering of 50,000 people, that your eye has 100 million receptors, that could still probably uniquely define the shape of all 50,000 people to a certain extent. And then there might be a focus level where you could focus your eye, and then obviously there's the blind spot. But the perception, how that works to these light receptors going into the brain, and then the brain region to I think T Jump meant, like the studies where you could actually see like some sort of neural reflection that they've demonstrated. Like if you look at an elephant in the brain, you could actually show the reflection in the back of the brain of the object being projected.
Back to Plato.
Well, I mean, I'm still a dualist in terms of mind.
Am I coming through okay, pals?
We can hear you. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're live. Yeah, we hear. Oh, okay, maybe you are.
Yeah,
I'm still a dualist, but we're talking about what actually happens in the brain and the eyes. Obviously, do some form of sense perception. So to say, is what's the image we have in our head, and what's the interplay of the physical and the material realm of, so to say, the realm of mind, where my mind. So it could be that the perception of the material is completely physical in the brain, that my brain is completely generates a material image of what it sees, and then, so to say, my mind, from my dualistic perspective,
takes that resonance and
adds the categories. That categories and ideas don't exist in the material realm. So if you're a materialist dualist, there's a different compartment to your brain that has ideas and categories, and so the perception of what you see, then there would be two centers of the brain, one that has ideas and categories, and that implants ideas and categories onto the perception.
We're back to category theory. This is the thing. Let me ask you this, stupid, because it's been suggested to me by other people that it's like, all right, if we actually want to solve the problem of general artificial intelligence, you basically got to do category theory. I mean, that's what it kind of sounds like, because in order to generate what we consider general intelligence, like a human being, if it comes down to, well, our mind needs to generate categories, we need to get to that point. And this is what I don't know. That's what somebody told me a while ago. So I started paying attention to that. And every time category theory comes up, it seems to have, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was like, I was actually watching this thing on like anti-Semitism in video games, and but if you thought like a video game where you have an object and you go into an area and then you pick off the screen an object, and then that you release as a category of that object, where this thing, like for example, you went to like a synagogue, or and but any object in your mind where you perceive something, and then you perceive the category that it's part of, and it's like a chunk and opening, so you could see like, okay, a whole bunch of books, and then you'd be like, oh, I know that book, and that opens up a new part of information. And if it was like computer program, that would
open
be
up the folder, you have the document, you can start going through like different things that you recall from the document.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be in the hard drive somewhere, where there would be some sort of code signifier that, from the general perception that I'm perceiving everything around me, that then um, I decided to go into this category, and then I searched the hard drive for where that category exists. And that might be a material understanding for how the brain operates, where there's higher level ideas and orderings, and there's some part of the brain, like a computer that has ideas, and then you could have your perception. Even if it's like a person, if you're in a crowd, or like you see your mother or your friend, if you're out jogging, and then all of a sudden, you were just perceiving nature, and then it's like, hey Joe, how you doing? Like, you pulled out of your perception that this category refers to somebody, and then you switch your perception level where you're now, instead of focusing on like running or just dealing with nature, you're going to have some sort of conversation, or even multitasking. And like, as a dualist, I would say that these things are happening in a non-material realm. But I mean, at a certain level, computers could do these things. You might also argue, as a dualist, that categories, if you say ideas don't exist in the material realm, so even a computer, uh, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. What Jennifer brought up, that, so to say, um, I don't call it, is it optical